Hey, I'm Tony Roach. Welcome back to Midwest Outdoors. You know, I'm chasing panfish today. I spend countless hours taking customers out, chasing walleyes, smallmouth bass on big bodies of water. And when I get a day off, I love to chase panfish. You know, right now I'm just using my electronics to kind of locate the standing stock cabbage in here. You can see it on my structure scan. You can also see it on my graph. A lot of times these big panfish will relate not only to the cabbage itself, but they'll be just adjacent to or sometimes suspended. So what I'll do is I basically will just drive around the edges of these humps. I'm on a lake with a lot of structure right now, and I'll go around and I'll actually mark either individual schools of fish, or I'll mark the cabbage weeds. I'm looking for that really tall standing cabbage. You know, there's a lot of vegetation in this lake, but in particular this cabbage weed, that's where the big fish are gonna be. Oh yeah, there we go. Just pitching this Rippin Rap along this cabbage produces these nice crappies. You know what's nice about using that Rippin Rap is it falls nice and slow, so I can work it pretty weedless. Even though it's really, really thick vegetation down there, I can work it pretty weedless over the tops of them. So I'm not letting it fall down all the way in there. I'm just working over the tops. And crappies notoriously will feed up in the water column, so don't be afraid to fish a little shallow. You know, the water's really clear where I'm fishing right here, and these fish will pop right out of that cabbage and come after that bait. Nice crappie. Get this one back in the water here. What I like about working these baits, especially these Rippin Raps, is I can fish them fast. You know, if you're fishing a small jig in plastic or even a bobber setup, you know, you gotta fish really, really slow. Whereas with this bait, I can cast it out, I can cover a lot of ground quickly, you know. I'm working these weed edges. These fish are kind of scattered along the weed edge. Like I said, some of them are suspended off the edge. We're catching crappies, bluegills. What I like about it is I can fish fast, so I can locate those fish. And it's okay to spot lock once you've found the fish, but until that point, you know, it's nice to be able to work quickly. And that Rippin Rap allows me to do that. I'm fishing it kind of half crankbait, half jig. I'm casting it out, letting it fall, ripping it, letting it fall, ripping it, letting it fall down into that cabbage or on the edges, and these fish are hitting it. A little better one. Nice crappie, man. Oh. I love this new St. Croix rod. This is a Legend Elite Panfish series from St. Croix. Like I said, when I get a day off, I love going pan fishing, and this is my new favorite rod. I'll explain why. I'm fishing this on braid, okay? I've got a fluorocarbon leader with this Rippin Rap. I can feel everything on there. But what I love about this rod in particular, you know, it's built for pan fishing, for hardcore panfish anglers. What I like about it is it loads up really nice. It's got a fast action tip. It's not extra fast. It's got a nice bow in the rod. You can see where the rod breaks right here. Okay, your backbone starts back in here. So when I'm fishing these Rippin Raps, especially with crappies, you want that rod to load up really nice. You don't want something board stiff, because what's gonna happen is when you're pitching these Rippin Raps and when you're ripping them, you're gonna rip the hooks right out of their mouth. That goes for big crappies, even gills. When you're fishing them fast like I'm doing right now, especially on this braided line, if you've got a rod that loads up too quickly, you're just gonna lose fish. But the feel and the balance of this rod, it's a super light blank. I just love fishing this thing. The Legend Elite Panfish series, you're gonna wanna check it out from St. Croix, trust me. There's another one. Man, they're just thick on that corner of that cabbage. Another nice fish. Boy, good quality size fish too. And that's the other thing, is when you're fishing the Rippin Raps, you really don't catch the small ones. You know, you tend to catch the larger fish, especially if they're bluegills. It keeps the small bluegills away and the small crappies away. You tend to catch the nicer fish. It is one after another. They are stacked on the corner of this cabbage here. And again, they're suspended. They're off the edge. They're not up in the thick vegetation. They're more on the edge of this thing. The wind's blowing over the top. I'm sure they're sitting on the back side of this waiting for bait fish to come by. As soon as that Rippin Rap slides by, it's game on. Oh, he got me down in the cabbage. Oh. Darn it. See if I can shake him loose. There, I got him loose. Not a giant, but weaseled me right down in there. Oh, lots of fun. Man, catching a ton of fish today, I'll tell you that. That's what's fun about working fast, using a crankbait, a light rod, catching bass, catching perch, catching sunfish, crappies, just catching tons of fish. That's what makes it fun. It's fun to have a day off, the sun's shining, the wind died, it got hot out here, and catching a ton of fish. Big old bass. No, nice crappie. I thought it was a bass. Oh, it came up and jumped like a bass. Nice fish. Oh, beauty. That is awesome. Oh, that's about a 14-inch crappie. It came up and jumped just like a bass. I could have swore it was a bass. That's what I love about using this light gear. Like I said earlier, catching all sorts of fish. I caught a ton of bluegills, caught some bass, got some big crappies, and had a lot of fun doing it on a nice day. So, hey, I'm Tony Roach. Stay tuned for more Midwest Outdoors.